And then we have our main event of the evening for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. Tomohiro Ishii takes on Chris Jericho. The little promo that Jericho cut on Saturday, of course, indicated prior history between the two, with when Ishii was but a young boy for Lionheart Chris Jericho back in WAR. Jericho starts the match off yelling "Baka," and they start off with a slap fest. Clearly, Ishii not one to be called Baka. More stiff slaps and chops, and then Bruce. They went through an entire picture-in-picture with a chop exchange that was about the damnedest thing I've ever seen, because Jericho's chest starts being split open. And then, like, in this tiny picture in the corner, you see a man with just like blood. And I don't know about you, but like usually when I'm like the picture-in-picture is on, I'm not really paying attention. Like, I'm too distracted by the commercials. I was glued to my screen, trying to squint, trying to look at, whoa, how did this guy like bleed this much?
This went from, the kind of the usual, kind of Ishii chop exchange that you will get in, pretty much any singles match that Ishii is in. This went from that to like, a friggin' homage to the Kobashi Sasaki, 2005 Noah match in picture. And, I was kind of, I've got multiple windows open on my computer and I'm squinting. And it's like, no, yeah, that is just a big patch of blood beginning to open up on Jericho's chest. Both guys looking like, raw hamburger by the time we get back from the commercial. It is just, before we go on with the rest of the match, the whole, Jericho calling him Kohei and everything like that was just, I mean, it's great that it's actually, true and legit. It is just so bizarre to think of Ishii as being a young boy to anybody, let alone somebody, wrestling in a main event mix. Like, Ishii's like, this is a weird comparison way, but to me, he's like Tom Waits, in that you just have to assume that he has looked and he has acted like he was in his mid 40s since he was 10 years old. I just cannot imagine, like,
you can't imagine this handsome young lad getting your chonko for you.
Oh, geez. Yeah, no, I actually did some digging on this. I was curious if they ever, I mean, obviously I knew that he was in war training, but it was 3 months after Jericho had left the promotion that Ishii had his first match in war.
That checks out.
Yeah, so I did the cage match digging here. On November 2nd in 1996, Ishii lost his debut match to Battle Ranger. And on the same night, Jericho was in the middle of a set of 3 house show matches where he was unsuccessfully challenging Dean Malenko for the Cruiserweight title. So there you go, ships in the night there.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, so they go about this entire chop exchange in the picture-in-picture. Ishii's hand is dripping with blood. Like, it's insane. I don't know what commercials were airing, but like, it would be hilarious if it was like, I don't know, burger commercial or Sonic.
Gage Pizza, and then
exactly. Finally, some clotheslines in the corner allowed Jericho to regain control. He goes for the 10 punches in the corner, but Ishii counters with a running powerbomb. Jericho then spikes Ishii head first on the apron with a DDT. Jericho hits some repeated Germans. Ishii no-sells the first 2. He hits a third as Ishii again tries to no-sell but stumbles partway through and ultimately collapses. Jericho hits a lion salt, but Ishii kicks out at 1. Jericho hits a code breaker, and Ishii kicks out at 2. Ishii then blocks the Judas effect, hits a headbutt and a sliding lariat for 2. Ishii then escapes the walls, and Tomohiro Ishii hits the code breaker before a lariat and a 2 count. Jericho blocks an enziguri before locking in the walls of Jericho again. At this point, Ishii flips over, but Jericho transitions into the Lion Tamer. Ishii does not give up right away. In fact, in his last act of defiance, he takes his hand and flips the bird at Chris Jericho, flipping him off as he taps with his middle finger. I did not expect this match, Bruce, to close off this edition of Dynamite.
No. I to be honest, I was kind of, in terms of sequencing, I almost feel like to get back to the CM Punk point, I kind of feel like there was a conscious attempt to keep the Punk and Elite business completely separate from MJF and Moxley as much as possible. But part of me was sort of expecting this match to start Dynamite. Oh, it's going to be hard hitting, and that's the way they often like to start these. The fact that this was given the main event spot, and again, a match this brutal that, just dug into, again, the most like hard-hitting styles of Japanese pro wrestling. I want to just kind of bookmark this one for the next time somebody brings out the whole AEW. It's just basically like WWE at this point, too much sports entertainment, etc. I just want to refer back to the fact that we saw Tomohiro Ishii have this match in the main event of a primetime episode of American wrestling television in 2022, because look, I'm a long time Ishii fan. He almost single-handedly was the reason I first really fell in with New Japan Wrestling years and years ago. On the one hand, you can sort of say that, Ishii's moveset is so limited, and he always has the, quote, same match. I think that this match completely puts the lie to that and shows that that's absolutely not the case. But this was a fantastic match, and it had so much of it just relied, yes, there were brutal moves. Yes, that spike DDT to the apron was hideous to see. It had all of the kind of the violence and intensity, but so much of this was just, character work of both of them, right? Of Jericho realizing that he was ultimately going to lose this chop battle, right? That Ishii just, that he'd need to rely on, kicks and, more, his more North American, style offense, that he couldn't hang with Ishii in his own game if he wanted to beat him. There was just so much going on here. The little homages to one another's moves, Jericho hitting sliding lariats and things like that. Just a fan-frigging-tastic match. Can't say enough good things about this.
I guess I can understand some people maybe criticizing Ishii for not being as versatile as some other wrestlers, but to me, I never want anything else from Tomohiro Ishii than a Tomohiro Ishii match. And for me, the versatility comes not from necessarily him, but from seeing his opponent and how his opponent can keep up from such a physically demanding style of professional wrestling match. And that's what made me so interested to see what 52-year-old Chris Jericho could do with a style as taxing as Tomohiro Ishii's. Yeah. And God, does this man continue to impress? With how willing he's able to step out of his comfort zone. I don't even know if Chris Jericho has a comfort zone. The man is constantly challenging himself, doing something different and fresh all into his 50s.
My friends and I, when we were watching Full Gear, we're sort of coming around to this point and sort of saying okay, look, by whichever measures do you want to sort of talk about in terms of the greatest wrestlers, in terms of draws, mic work, or in ring, best volume of in ring matches, and we can sort of say that okay, Jericho isn't necessarily the best one in any one of those categories, but in terms of ability to change and adjust and have that, I know he's more of an Iron Maiden fan, but have that Bowie-like ability to sort of, be a chameleon and adapt and change to whichever way the wind is blowing. There are so many cases where certain wrestlers seem out of step with the time in which they are being pushed, right? So much has been made of, say, Hulk Hogan just kind of not really fitting in with Hall and Nash, or not understanding the same references, and he just kind of looking like the awkward dad there hanging around with him. Jericho, whatever we want to say about, personal life or, personal politics or whatever like that, he never feels like he's out of step or uncomfortable or not entirely at home with wherever the pro wrestling business is at when he's in it. And I don't, he doesn't kind of overstep or kind of get into types of matches or types of feuds that will not play to his strengths. He's very good at not exposing himself. And to get back to this match in particular, this was a match where I was not expecting him to be able to just physically go as much as he did with Ishii here, and he absolutely did. So, 100% have to take my hat off to him.
It was my match of the night, Bruce. Ahead of the Elite versus Death Triangle, and I wonder if others will agree. But I thought it was a very inventive what they did through the commercial break, and just kind of using that chop fest as a real centerpiece. Whether or not that blood was intentional, I mean, I give them credit either way. It was either really well worked or just a very fortunate fact that you had such a brilliant visual to attach to my memory of this excellent match. So a great one night pop in from Tomohiro Ishii. See you in another 6 months, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And, we welcome it.